The show is about to begin.
Dude, that's Smylie Kaufman for 61. Wow.
Featuring Smylie Kaufman.
If you're around a local IHOP at a PGA Tour event, you might see Hideki Matsuyama.
Put it up in the stance, strengthen the grip.
His co-host, Charlie Hulme.
We've now picked 5 of the last 8 winners on the PGA Tour.
Oh, just go in the hole. Please go in the hole. Please go in the hole. Please go in the hole. Yes, sir!
And the biggest names in golf.
That's a great question. Can I talk about it?
I don't think I'm ready.
How good does it get, SK?
Why not ask, Charlie?
Today, live from the Pinecrest Inn, it's the Smylie Show. So long, everybody.
This is the Smylie Show.
Welcome back to another episode of the Smylie Show, where, if you are watching this on YouTube, you might look at our backdrops. You say, what's the deal this week? It's like very bland, vanilla tones. Smylie has an excuse for that, all right? He is in Tahoe, fresh off broadcasting the American Century Championship, which we're going to get to that in a few moments here. We got some great stories, some great clips to go over before we launch into our recap of the Scottish Open. My excuse is less good, Smylie. It's that the air conditioning busted in my office above my garage, and I spent all this time creating this elaborate bookcase backdrop for all the things that, I put, the flags I put behind us during our episodes. And as a result of that, it's very hard to remove that and work on the AC. It is currently 91 degrees in that office. So we were going to be testing the very limits of the summer of cotton if I were to broadcast in that office this week. So instead, here I am in my guest room. I think I might try to go over to Hope Valley later this week and pop into the grill back there and do that. But we're on the road this week. It's a European heat wave, and it's also a heat wave here in my office.
Yeah. And then Tahoe, the weather this week was just, phenomenal.
Glorious.
Like, it was not a cloud in the sky. This place is beautiful, man. I just, every time I've come here, I think about, man, it'd be great to come out here and vacation. I know a lot of people come out here and ski, but really the summer, man, it's just incredible. You can go on hikes, you can go out in the water. The boats were out the entire week, and it's I think it's just kind of hard to get to from the East Coast. It was a bit of a travel day because you gotta fly into Reno, and there's nothing direct into Reno anywhere. So for the most part, you have to kind of make that extra trip, and then it's another hour drive here. So the only difficult part is just getting here. But once you get here to Lake Tahoe, it's one of the most beautiful places that I'll go all year.
This was the ski destination of choice for a young Fresno, California native, Charlie Hulme. So on the ski team, used to hit up Heavenly. That was a great mountain to ski. Big ski team guy when I was younger. Oh, yeah. Where do you think all that ball speed comes from, buddy? The quads that were developed over years of not only ski team, but playing ice hockey in Central California, which makes no sense whatsoever.
I got questions about the ski team. So how long were you on the ski team, and were you like one of the better skiers on the ski team?
I had like a 3-year run. I was not one of the better skiers. Otherwise, it probably would have been longer than 3 years. It ended unceremoniously when I was going through a half pipe and hit a patch of ice and smacked my head on the ground. And then the next thing I remember, I was going down the hill in one of those little things they strap you to, it was a tough scene. I loved it. I love the moguls. I love the downhill, where you go through the gates and all that stuff. But it was more of like I enjoyed skiing as a hobby, and they're like, hey, let's just send you off to the mountain for a couple of weekends to get you out of our hair, and you go do the ski team. That was kind of the extent of my experience.
I had skied in since I was probably like 12 or 13 years old. So it's been, a good 20 years since I've skied last. The reason why I haven't is just because I don't want to get hurt, and knowing how it feels like everybody, somebody that's gone skiing and has gotten hurt. I'm like, I gotta go find golf balls out on the golf course. I can't afford to have a torn ACL.
So this was me at Christmas thinking back to all the days I played roller hockey in the driveway, growing up. And I was like, what I should get for Walker? Pair of rollerblades. And while I'm at it, I'll get myself a pair of rollerblades so I can, skate with him. And I put those things on, went out in the cul-de-sac, and I was like, whoa, Completely forgot how this motor skill works. Like, might be headed for a concussion or a broken kneecap. So the roller skates have not gotten a ton of run, unfortunately, since then. But yeah,
I mean, the roller skates, we used to do that all the time. But then also, I remember one year I went to the ski school, for the kids. They teach you how to. You basically spend a day there to be taught how to ski. They really get outside your parents' wings, so your parents can go ski and not have to worry about the kids. Now I understand as an adult why I was dropped off there, but there's also the learning how to ski part, which is important. And the next year that we went skiing, I said I didn't want to go to the ski school. I was ready to go back, but I, for whatever reason, completely forgotten how to stop. And so we're going down the first hill, and I'll never forget just being like, how do you stop? And you go, what is it? You go
pizza,
kind of
pizza,
yeah,
French
you go
fries, French fries,
yeah,
pizza.
we were 90 to
French
nothing
fries.
here. Yes, yeah, we were French fries. And I think the only way I stopped was I either hit somebody or just decided to take a tumble. So
Yeah.
Send your kids to ski school, folks.
Send your kids to ski school. Yeah, that's a whole other tangent we should go off on, because we were at a resort in Austin this weekend with the family, and was walking to dinner with like my 1.5-year-old daughter while I was watching another set of couples like drop their kids off at camp. It's like, Camp High. It's like, oh, really? Like, it sounds like you just want to go have 3 glasses of wine while they, watch some movie down in here. Like, it's
camp definitely. I understand, why kids go to camp now.
Walker starts his 3rd camp of the 4th camp of the summer tomorrow. Okay, this is we're off to a hot start in this episode. Maybe we can kind of
we
tie
love
this
our
thing
kids.
up. We love our
Our
children.
kids.
We're loving fathers. I'm sure there are many loving fathers out there listening who are also like, yes, can't wait for the next session of camp. Tell me more about Tahoe, Smylie, because this is the 2 things that I saw on the internet that I feel like we need to unpack are the Larry David interview, which was very interesting, and then, I mean, I don't know, like, in your grand career, the things you've done, you final group of the Masters, winning the Shriners, like all the various accolades. I don't know that you're going to get a better one than TJ Oshie talking about you being the best ever player at this beer pong flip cup drink.
Have you not played baseball before?
I don't. You were explaining this via text, and I don't know that I've ever played because it could be 2 things. It was like we were talking to John Peterson.
On you then. I'd pick on you.
It could be 2 things, because like we were talking to John Peterson off camera. We were talking about different fireworks, and we just had different names for the same firework. So I'm not sure if like the game you're describing is something that we played, just called it a different name, or if I've never played it. But whatever it is, TJ Oshie says you are the best at this game that's yearly played at Tahoe. So like, I think that's about as good as it gets.
Yeah, I'll explain to you the rules of baseball for those of you who want to know what beer pong game we're talking about. It's funny, before I get into the rules of it is, I was telling TJ, and I was trying to like remember what the rules were. And I was like, I haven't played probably since last year. And then I started thinking, I was like, that's probably a good thing. I'm a father of 2. If I showed up here and been like, yeah, we've been playing this, once a week, then you're like, okay, this guy needs to really grow up.
That's why you got to send Anna Carter to so many camps. You got to be grinding to practice for baseball, right?
That's right. That's a good point. So you got 4 cups that are all in a straight line.
Okay.
And the first cup is a single, the second cup's a double, third cup's a triple, and the fourth cup is a home run, being the last cup. And so if you shoot into the first cup, it's a single, so you're on first base. Right. And at the middle of the table, there's cups that you can drink and then flip cup against a person on the other team. And if you flip cup faster than them, then you move to the next base. So
a lot of times stealing a base.
Yes. And that's the real fun in the game, is that so for instance, if I make the last cup, it'd be a home run. So you get a point on the board, and all 4 of those cups have to be drank. But if you just make the first cup, it's a single, then you shoot the first cup. So the person who's the catcher, and how they determine like whether you get strikes or outs, is if you hit the cup and the ball isn't caught by the person that's receiving, then that's just a strike, and you get 3 strikes before you're out. But you can get out if you totally miss all the cups, then that's an out. So then it passes to the next guy.
Atlanta should be the team to step up and secure him.
Yeah, Atlanta's really interesting because they're, much further down the list at only, 8% right now on Kalshi. But this is a team that has constantly come up in terms of GMs thinking, or the reports suggesting that GMs are thinking that Atlanta Braves are the dark horse team to kind of swoop in there and get Scoogle. And that's going to be something that, we should pay attention to.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
This is the third time he's been medically checked. Even the refs coming over. He's like, dude, like come on. Like after every sort of play in front of the net, the kind of goal he's done. He's on the
jumping.
Turf. He's on the turf, like you said. Like he's like driving off the top rope. Look at him here again. I give him credit. He's freaking fearless.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
The older players in the WNBA going, hey, man, we were here when they were paying us nothing. We were here when we had to go overseas to make a paycheck. You're walking in here, you don't realize how easy you have it. So there is some of that too. But yeah, Jordan got beaten up. Magic got beaten up. Bird got beaten up. Kareem got beaten up. Wemby is getting beaten up, by the way.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
So it's 9 innings of baseball, and it was 5-on-5, and TJ's like continues to like up this thing every single year. He had a 2-minute AI hype video of all the participants with in a rap song of sorts with lyrics that were like all catered to all the participants, and we did the national anthem, the entire
who sung it?
The
Who
whole
sung the national
vibe in the
anthem?
place. It's like roped off. With all the players. He had jerseys for us, which let me see if I can get the jersey. Hold on. Let me get the jersey.
Okay, please stand by. And if you can hear me on the headphones, I'd really love to know if this was like did we play the recorded version of the national anthem like before a World Cup game, or did we get like a live rendition of the Star Spangled Banner sung by that's the person I want to, oh my Lord, look at this. This is phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm going to throw it on here just so you get a feel for it.
Yeah, please finish the episode in this jersey, because this is. Do you have a number on this, or was it just all like blank backs to the jerseys?
I think it's just blank back to the jerseys.
Okay,
here we go.
It looks like as you're sitting down here, it looks like an old school like Brooklyn Dodgers jersey. That is good looking.
I can't wear this the entire time, and the reason why. It smells like just an old keg. This thing, I mean, there's no telling how much, like there might be a full beer that is on this thing. Because like in Flip Cup, like, I mean, you're eating the beer.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of there's a lot of that going on. That's amazing.
Dude, I gotta find
good on TJ
I'm gonna have
Oshie.
to put this in its own like laundry bag so it doesn't just like completely stink out my suitcase.
Like, separate like the whites from the colors when you're doing the laundry. It's like might make all of your clothes
now
smell like beer when
beer.
you wash it.
Like even just wearing it and taking it off, it smells like old beer over here now. And yeah, I don't need that in my suitcase, because if my cologne at the Open Championship is just old beer, you're like,
you might fit right in. That might fit right in.
All right, that's a good point. All right, so we lost. It was unfortunate. I wasn't quite as good shooting as I normally am, but the teams were fun. It was TJ and I were on a team with the Miz, Love the Miz.
Okay.
He
Love
brings
that.
the energy. My goodness, he's a WWE guy. For those of you who don't know, the Miz, he's the best. Also had Brady Kachuk on the team.
Wow.
He was my rookie of the year and MVP of the whole weekend. This guy was incredible. The Kachuk brothers and Matt Boldy plays for Minnesota.
He had a cool looking golf bag. Did I see that?
He's a good player too.
Yeah,
great guy. Good golf swing too. He's like a 1 or 2 handicap. Anyways, those three, they sung karaoke at the celebrity karaoke night. Dream On, straight out of Miracle. And before they even announced the winner, they were walking up to the stage knowing they won. And they, by the way, they're not good singers at all. Like, it was terrible. But it was the energy and just and like Brady just bringing out everybody in the crowd and just going ham. That was MVP performance. And so Brady was on the team, and then our fifth was Baker Mayfield. And we had a great
that's an old grit team. I mean, that's a lineup right there.
Didn't matter if we lost. We had such a good team. Then the other squad was Jason Kelsey, Miles Teller, Matt Boldy, Matthew Kachuk, and Trevor Lawrence. And everybody was like solid teams. Like, there weren't any wink winks. Everybody played well.
I thought you said Boldy was on your team.
No, Boldy's on the other team. I was just saying that Boldy, the Kachuk brothers, sung the other day.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So Matthew.
And does TJ not play? Is he the commissioner, or is he?
TJ was on my team.
TJ on your? Okay, got it.
Excuse me, I was on TJ's team.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay. Yeah. I just want to make sure I got the lineups correct here. Yeah. That sounds like quite a showdown there.
And before that, I went to dinner with Charles Barkley and his whole crew, and like 10 folks. Like, by the way, when Charles walks anywhere, it's fun to just kind of like be a part of his entourage for like a couple hours. It's unbelievable how many people. I'm not surprising like that. Right. Everybody recognizes him, but like, he's so nice to everybody. Charles is, and man, it's just like getting to sit down and break bread with Barkley and just listen to him tell stories, and he just treats everybody so great. It was fun to be a part of that. So going from Barkley to the baseball game yesterday, I was concerned about today, but the best part about this event, they got IVs at the golf course. Like, show up, get an IV in. I got the Normatec boots. I even got a glutathione shot in the top of my hip. And so I go show up. I'm like, I'm ready to go. Like, let's go.
How about it?
That's part of this week, though. It's the ACC.
Yeah.
It
feels very Catalina wine mixer-esque.
It is.
Everyone who's there, it feels like, I do feel like I'm the our producer Jackson Brown is a big SpongeBob meme guy. Like, every year I'm like Squidward, like looking out the window, just like, why can't I be there? That looks like lots of fun. Listen, you're here, you're in one piece, you're IV'd up. The Larry David interview was interesting.
Yeah, it was bizarre. Like, a bizarre person. I've never watched any of his stuff. I'm sure people were shaking their head at that. I've seen his stuff before. I kind of know the bit, kind of know what his persona and his character is that he kind of plays in real life and also in front of a camera. And it was amazing too, the amount of people that were yelling Larry David's name out there, and quickly realized that he didn't care that they were yelling. It's like, this guy's like, y'all shut up. Like, I'm like, all right, this is his thing. And then he said my name was lame, and then I was like, okay. In that moment, he didn't really back off the bit. I thought he was going to kind of get off the bit, like take his one shot, and then he like kept on. I was like, all right, Larry. At least I don't have two first names, Larry. So I could have, I don't know. He kind of, I wouldn't say crossed the line, but it was like,
well, look, you're in a tough spot. I mean, you're sitting there with one of the preeminent comedy writers of our time. It's like, Larry, let me take you out on the golf course, and let me get on my playing field. But I mean, I think because we're a little bit too young for Seinfeld. Like, Curb was I remember Curb being on the TV a lot in college, things like that, but a little bit too young for Seinfeld. It's a good character, but it is very much a grumpy character.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely is a very yes. That came out in the interview with him. So we had him on, Steph on the desk. It was fun talking to Steph, just watching him play. Dude, he's good, man. Steph's nice.
So
I
good.
was giving him see the quotes. Draymond was like, Draymond always is going to back up his boys, but he's like, yeah, I played with Steph at the Cal Club or wherever they were playing. He's like, if he hit every shot perfect, if this guy can just, spend a couple years, chasing this thing, like he can make it on the PGA Tour or this or that. So like he was, talking noise and like he was, dead set on like, this is a fact. And I was asking Steph about it, and he was like, whenever basketball gets wrapped up, would love to see what I could be able to, how high he could take himself in the game. But at the same time, I think he has realistic expectations that he's playing exactly the tour that he should be playing on, which is, some celebrity stuff. And he's one of the better players. He's very, very talented.
Remember when we had him on the show, we were watching the highlights of like that Corn Ferry Tour event he played in. He played good. He flagged a few shots. I feel like Steph, the celeb circuit's good, but we could see Steph maybe on the Champs Tour, like take a few years off, kind of relax, and then make a run at maybe some Cedar USGA events. I could absolutely see that. PGA Tour when he's retired from basketball, that's a bit of a long, but that's Draymond.
Yeah, Steph was great. It was a good week. Travis obviously went out here. Josh Allen and Drake May were supposed to come. I think Josh might be having a kid. Aaron Rodgers didn't come, which was a bit of a surprise. But man, Steph is, when you have a world-class athlete like Steph Curry and the fanfare that he brings and being this close to San Francisco, he's the needle, right? Like when Steph plays, I think just the golf tournament becomes that much more interesting because you're interested in seeing if Steph can win a golf tournament. Like that's cool to me. And he didn't get it done. Congrats to Marty, by the way. Marty got it done.
Another friend of the show.
And a very, very, very talented player in his own right. And he got it done. So happy for Marty. He's been working his tail off and won some cash today too.
How about it? Any like stories that we need to get out there from the ACC before we move on to the Scottish Open? Like any week wrap you need to do before we kind of head in that direction?
brain's a little fuzzy. Trying to think of what that would
covered
be.
A lot of it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll leave. There's, gosh, where can you even go, man? I got nothing for you.
That's fine.
Nothing's coming to my brain.
The rest of the stories they'll stay in Tahoe, and maybe
maybe at the end of this episode I'll think of something that pops
there
up.
We go.
But as of now, man, I'm doing this podcast. Got a 4-hour drive to San Francisco, and then a 10-hour flight to London, and then a 4-hour drive to Birkdale. So I've got quite the haul to get over to the Open Championship.
Okay, well then let's waste no more time, and let's talk about Tom Kim's win in the Genesis Scottish Open.
How about it, dude?
Bogey-free 6 under 64 today, wins by 2 shots over Minwoo Lee. It's his 4th PGA Tour win, but his first since 2023 and his 111th PGA Tour start. And think about that, 111 PGA Tour starts at the age of just turned 24 a few weeks ago. I got a Justin Ray stat for you. 5 players from outside the United States have won 4+ times on the PGA Tour before the age of 25 in the last 40 years. That list is Rory McIlroy, Sergio Garcia, Adam Scott, Hideki Matsuyama, and now Tom Kim. And I've got 2 quotes I want to read for you from Tom, and this is his post-round availability today after winning the trophy there. He was asked, "You were tearful when you found out you'd won. Can you explain how you're feeling?" And a couple quotes from just excerpted from his longer answer. He said, "It's surreal. I've had long days, long nights, early mornings. I just remember how I felt a lot of the times when I wasn't playing well and it was difficult. Definitely appreciating this more now than I did a couple years ago. I thought about my family, all the people in my corner that have suffered with me and also celebrated with me, and kind of remembering all those people really brought tears to my eyes." So that's 2 straight weeks we've seen a lot of emotion from the winner, following Chris Godder up at the John Deere. And then I thought there was another answer he gave that was interesting. Is he was asked, "You said you've had to eat a lot of humble pie over the last couple of years, and you've learned a lot about yourself. Can you give more insight into that?" He said, "I think one of the biggest things is that sometimes all the work that you put in might not get rewarded. It's very easy to think that you put in 12 hours every day and then you should be playing well. It doesn't really work like that. I'm more proud of the moments I didn't give up and I had doubts and all those things. Instead of going the other way, I kept going. I'm more proud of that than holding a trophy." I think I want to zoom out, in a couple minutes here and just talk about like what we're actually looking at with Tom Kim, because he had a down year. We were kind of writing him off in some ways, but he's only 24 years old. But the place I think that makes the most sense to start, Smylie, is just this year, where we have a guy who made every major from 2023 to 2025. Then he did not play in the Masters or the PGA Championship this year. Then makes it to the U.S. Open, finishes 3rd there. I'm wondering what differences you're seeing in his game of late. I know he's worked with Sean Foley. He's talked about how Sean's helped him become more mentally organized. What's showing up in Tom's game right now where you're like, that's closer to the guy that we saw that burst onto the scene that could be a generational talent in the game of golf?
He gives them a chance, but they've got to keep putting people around him. I think he's a very good quarterback. I don't know that he's the one that elevates you all by himself. I think he still needs the help. Excellent player, perfect guy to lead your organization, perfect place for it. And by the way, I'd start him from day one. I wouldn't waste any time on it. But got to put pieces around him, and John Spytek has already started doing that.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
This is the 3rd time he's been medically checked. Even the refs coming over. He's like, dude, like come on. Like after every sort of play in front of the net, the kind of goal he's done. He's
stop jumping.
He's on the turf, like you said, like he's like driving off the top rope. And look at him here again. I give him credit. He's freaking fearless.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Are you ready for el verano más futbolero de tu vida? Latination Football Club turns into Copa Nation, our live stream experience every day de lunes a viernes, 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Pacific as well. Checking in after the games. In that slot between games, we got you, my friend. We're going to have celebrities, legends of the game, content creators, and a bunch of our friends that are going to keep you entertained and informed, letting you know what's happening all across the 3 countries that are going to be experiencing this crazy football tournament. Don't miss it. Copa Nation right here on Latin Nation every day. Check it out.
I mean, Tom's a very, very precise ball striker. Like when you go watch him play golf, doesn't curve it a whole lot. He's not going to be a player that's, hitting all these different trajectories and all these curved shots. Like it's a very straight ball that he hits, accurate. And Sean Foley's helped obviously a ton in his game. When you go and look at, he got up to 145th in the world, man. Like Tom Kim was the guy that probably, I'm not sure where his highest ranking was in the OWGR, but it had to be close to the top 25 would be my guess.
He was entering 2024 on the back of that close of the season in 2023, where he at this event, the Scottish Open, he tied for 6th, then he goes and ties for 2nd at the Open Championship, and then he won that fall, the Shriners Open, repeat winner. So coming out of that year, he was 11th in the world.
Wow. Yeah. I think we all were expecting a ton of wins from the guy, right? And I think a lot of times when you're a young player, you sometimes think that winning is easy, and then quickly you either put too much pressure or expectations upon yourself to get back into that situation to give yourself opportunities to win, but also as a player, you just want to be consistent. You want to have not being worried about losing your card, or like just being in the signature events like he's struggled to be in the last couple of years, and just being on the outside looking in. So he's being a mainstay in the majors to now not being in the majors to working his way into the US Open by qualifying and finishing 3rd. He was 66 heading into the week. They haven't updated his OWGR currently, but you have to think he'll probably move somewhere inside the top 40 in the world, maybe top 35, which is just think about not too many months ago, he was 145th. So he's having quite the summer. Game's starting to turn on. And also want to congratulate myself for back-to-back one-and-done picks.
Oh, no, we're not doing this. All right. This is the frustration. I don't want to say frustration levels. It's just, it's a sad state of affairs. All these people out here who are relying on you delivering picks every week. And poor Jackson Brown hits the group text. Hey guys, doing one and done? Crickets, nothing.
I think Jax just wants it, man. I think he just wants some insight.
He does. But this is the second straight week where Smylie said, he's like, I would have picked Chris Goddard up last week, and then I would have picked Tom Kim this week. So congrats on your 2 back-to-back wins.
Because I thought we had him on our show where he told us John Deere was like one of his favorite events. And so I was already had that in my brain. I was going to save Chris Goddard up for that week. So just because we didn't record it doesn't mean I didn't pick him. So so I picked Goddard up, and then this week I took Tom Kim. And the reason why I took Tom Kim in my head was that he's got some good history here, man. This wasn't a surprise for me at all to see that he won here. He's finished in 2022 to this year, he's finished 3rd, 6th, 15th, 17th, and now just won in 2026. Scoring average 67.55, has won a buttload of money at this place. He's won $2.6 million at this golf course. So it's a bit of a horse for course. And then you also kind of think about Tom Kim, and I know you kind of zoomed out a little bit, but what it means potentially for the rest of the season. Like, what do we have to look forward to with Tom Kim? I think he's live next week at the Open Championship. I think he's very, very live. He's clearly plays well in links conditions, but I think it's because of how he hits, how he's a very accurate driver of the ball, but his flight and how he hits his driver, it's like a heavy ball. Like when it lands, it's going to have that tumble to it. So he's going to find a lot of fairways. It's all about the putter with Tom. Like if his ball striking's there, he's worked a ton on that. He's at times it looks like he's struggled with that part of his game. But yeah, Birkdale, man, I think Tom could be a player that could play really well, and he's got past history at Open Championships. I think this was 2 years ago at Royal Liverpool. I think he finished second that week. So
T2 behind Brian Harmon.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the week I wanted to look at. I wanted to look back at 23 where he kind of had that nice run of form, finishes sixth at the Scottish Open. The previous year was like where you didn't burst on the scene. Is like maybe not the right way. It was a solo third in 22, and then that was like that fall run where he won Wyndham, right? Won Wyndham and then won Shriners that fall, and that was where it's like this guy's going to be the next Tiger Woods. Those are the sort of comparisons we were making then.
Especially with how young he is, man. Like, I saw a stat the tour put out. It's 1,000 days between wins for him. And he's only 24 years old. Like 1,000 days. Like that's a lot of days.
Well, and let's talk about that because I was just curious, just thinking like, who are his actual contemporaries, right? I think we forget. I'm not picking on Ludwig Oberg here. Just like I think we think of Ludwig Oberg as being this young player when Ludwig
he went to school
26, almost 27. Right, like Tom just turned 24. His contemporaries is like an Akshay Bhatia, and so Tom now has 4 tour wins to Akshay Bhatia's 3. Like if you're looking at the FedEx Cup standings this season, Akshay is currently 11th. I don't know if that's projected or if that's going to change going into next week, but he's 11th. And then the next youngest player going down is Tom, and then like Ryo Satsune, I believe is 22 or 23 is the next one on that list. You're looking at the guys around him and. For all that we did last year of not necessarily riding off Tom Kim, but just wondering is he going to completely lose his form? Now he's got the most wins of all the 24-year-olds. Other contemporaries are like a Michael Thorbjornsen, who's a 24-year-old player. Like Nick Dunlap has won twice.
He's won Shriners twice, and where was his other one?
Shriners twice, Wyndham, and now Scottish.
Okay.
Right? Do I have that right?
I guess if you're going to compare wins, right? Like Akshay's won it. Like, when you win at Bay Hill, like that's a big time win.
Okay, but the field this week at the Scottish,
I would put just different style golf courses. Like it's hard to compare. But this is clearly his biggest notch in his cabinet at this point.
Yes. Yeah, I just think it's a good reminder of and he's a very unique case. Like you don't get a lot of guys who burst on the scene at that age and win 2 tour events and make a President's Cup team. And
well, even too, man, like him being Korean and also like very fluid in English. That's for PGA Tour, like it's a lot of times when you get Koreans that get to the PGA Tour, they don't, they're not comfortable speaking English with the media. But Tom's like very much an American Korean, and that I think is a great tool for the PGA Tour to have a player like him that's very, very marketable, funny. He's a player that is close with a lot of the top guys like Scottie and like Sam Burns, for instance. So it's I think when Tom Kim is playing good golf, the PGA Tour, it's stronger when you have players that are young, especially from different countries that are contending. And that's what we lost a lot of with Live Golf, man. Like when you lost some of these young players like the David Puges, the Caleb Surratts, I know he's an American, but Live was really targeting a lot of these young European players. So it's nice to, or I should say international players, but it's good to see that Tom's back in form, and I look for him to have a good week next week.
Yeah, I think that's definitely as we kind of work into this week, as you make the trip across the pond and you get to look at that golf course and we start previewing both the course with the field. That's going to be one of the top guys on the list. I feel like this next week because this is sort of his time of year. Let's talk a little bit about some of those live guys and a first PGA Tour start for Patrick Reed, now via his DP World Tour status, but the first PGA Tour start for him since leaving for Live. Victor Perez was the best of the Live bunch this week, and also earned an exemption to the Open Championship via his finish. He finished tied for 9th at 11 under. Then you had Tyrrell Hatton tied for 17th. Tom McKibben tied for 30th. John Rahm was looking on the outside looking in after a Thursday 73, and then goes out, shoots 65 on Friday to make the cut on the number. Then finishes tied for 36th. You had Laurie Cantor tied for 50th, and then Adrian Moronk and David Puig both missed the cut. So just an interesting mix of guys, and I think it's not necessarily any commentary on Russ because if you're looking at the tour players this week, I mean the most identifiable tour pro out there, Scottie Scheffler, missed the cut, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. But I mean, I think it's just to your point entering this week. It's nice to see a field with all these guys back in the mix. It gives us some strength. It gives us some intrigue. I thought it was fun following Patrick Reed early in the week in featured groups. He finished tied for 13th this week at 9 under. Is still atop that race to Dubai points list on the DP World Tour. There's some intrigue. There's some spark this week. It felt a little bit like that this week.
Yeah, let's talk about the venue too. Like the Renaissance Club, I think I think you get some kind of varied opinions on the Tom Doak newly designed golf course. I think 2022 is when it was built, and I think a lot of whether it be players or just critics don't typically like an American architect doing a link style golf course that sometimes can be not quite the version of the perfect link style that you get that feel like they've been there for since the 1500s, right? Like that they've been there forever. Then you got these new courses that are built on these amazing properties. But I think the Renaissance Club, I think it's very good. There are a couple little things I don't like about it. There's a couple shots specifically out there. They rerouted the golf course this year to try to make it a little bit more entertaining and have one of the shorter par threes be one of the closing holes, which I think proved to be, the energy come down the stretch was really awesome. But a couple shots out there that I don't love the design of, but for the most part, the rest of the golf course it's proper. Like it's a really good true links test. There's a couple things like there's too many humps and bumps in the greens for my liking. I typically would rather have a little bit more raised greens with balls rolling off a little bit more, which there are some of that out there, but greens that have more that continuous slope versus double breakers, which to me it looked like Scottie. We'll get into Scottie in a second, but like that seems. I don't think Scottie putts well on greens that have double breakers. Speaking with him, I think we were talking about Colonial earlier this year. Colonial used to have just continuous breaking greens, and now Scottie's like, man, like you can just have putts that doing this, and then next thing you know, at the hole it's doing the other, which I don't think he typically likes.
Did you see Rory's quotes on the Renaissance Club at the beginning of the week?
I think I did. Was it something in the same vein of like it's kind of grown on him?
I'll read them to you. He said, "This course has grown on me as years have went by. When I first came here, I think just because you come to Scotland and you play so many great golf courses, there are so many great golf courses in this area. I think we sometimes jump to maybe not liking a course because of how new it is, or maybe some greens are a bit too slopey or whatever. But I must say, over the years, it has grown on me a lot. And I think it's sort of become a really good venue for this tournament." So it's interesting because I believe, I don't know the exact specifics on it, but the sort of the contract that the Scottish Open has with with the Renaissance Club is it's soon to be up, and there's a sort of obviously a conversation about can we take a national open in a place that is so golf rich to other places, or do we want to make this the recurring home? And it's interesting because I'm the same way of thinking, golly, surely we can find a course that's steeped in more history and take it there, but they changed the routing a little bit this year, and I think just the type of winners it continuously produces and the guys that have become the horses for courses are very good players. So it feels like it's rewarding in a way that I mean, and I'd actually be curious to hear your thoughts on this because we've talked about this at length this year. Like we talked about the contrast between an Aronimink and Muirfield Village in terms of like one that's a more classic architecture and one that's a more proper built for a tour test type of course. And it feels like the Renaissance Club in some ways is if you took a Link's inspiration and built it to be a proper tour test. It doesn't feel like you need that to be the sort of test because if you get a place that is an old school shorter venue and on a day where you don't have wind or weather, I mean, look no further than St. Andrews. Some of the scoring we've seen there when they don't have a lot of conditions there. It's like it's just the pros are going to tear it apart.
Yeah, that's a lot of links golf over there, right? Like if you don't have the conditions, most of the time because the greens typically aren't going to be quite as fast. So you're given opportunities to have run up areas in like a true links test for the most part. So there's you really need Mother Nature, and the conditions and the firmness to be the true test with driving accuracy and well positioned bunkering. Be the what players are having to think about every hole of. Okay, the wind's here today, or the golf course is getting more firm. Is that 370 bunker in play? Like these are calculations that I love about links golf that I think we're going to experience at Birkdale, considering the heat wave that has gone through that part of the world and how it's how it's going to benefit. I think an Open Championship is going to be crispy. The weather's going to be warm. I think it's going to be a lot of fun next week. And in Birkdale,
Yeah.
man, the more I see with pictures and videos of this place, the more I get excited.
I'm seeing. I read Jeff Shackelford's report being on the ground there for the quadrilateral already, and he's got pictures, and it looks very brown. The forecast is a number of days in the 80s, which maybe for us in the South America, like, oh, that sounds great. Like that's very unusual for the United Kingdom, and so it's going to be it's one that I want to kind of break down in depth either at the end of this episode or on Tuesdays. We sort of preview this Open Championship, but I do think we should talk a little bit about Scottie Scheffler because I mean the cut streak that came to an end was one of the 5 longest in the history of the PGA Tour. So he finished even par through 36 holes this week, 2 shots outside of that 2 under cut line. That snapped a run of 78 consecutive cuts made, which is the 5th longest streak in PGA Tour history behind Hale Irwin, Jack Nicklaus, Byron Nelson, and Tiger Woods. First missed cut since the 2022 FedEx St. Jude. And Matt Fitzpatrick is now your current longest made cut streak holder, I should say, 28. Kind of interesting to see that the other guy who had a long made cut streak, also his was snapped earlier this year. Xander Schauffele had a run of 72 that stopped back in January. I don't know if I think some people are going to kind of overanalyze the miscut, but I think maybe the greater context is the season itself and what a bizarro season it's felt like for Scottie because he goes out and wins his first start of the year at the Amex. He has 4 runner-up finishes this season. Most recently lost that playoff to Victor Hovland at the Travelers. He has 9 top 5s in 14 starts this season. But he misses the cut this week to end that streak, and you're looking at a 9-time winner in 2024, a 6-time winner in 2025, and he keeps getting asked these questions every single week of, do you feel like the season hasn't lived up to a standard or whatever else? And I just wonder where the most recent set of reflections you have on Scottie Scheffler's year stand.
Well, he's had a good year, right? Like
Yes.
this is
9 top fives.
he didn't have a good Friday. Like again, his iron game wasn't very good. And he talked about it after the round, just getting a gust here or there at some shots, but still, like that's something that has kind of shown up at times this year, not being quite as precise. Was really good at the Travelers Championship, and then also turning on at the U.S. Open. So like we've seen some good recent form. So I think very, very surprised to see him miss the cut.
He gives them a chance, but they've got to keep putting people around him. I think he's a very good quarterback. I don't know that he's the one that elevates you all by himself. I think he still needs the help. Excellent player, perfect guy to lead your organization, perfect place for it. And by the way, I'd start him from day one. I wouldn't waste any time on it. But got to put pieces around him, and John Spytek has already started doing that.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
This is the third time he's been medically checked. Even the refs coming over. He's like, dude, like come on. Like after every sort of play in front of the net, the kind of goal he's done.
Yeah.
He's
Stop
on the
jumping.
He's on the turf, like you said, like he's like driving off the top rope. Look at him here again. I give him credit. He's freaking fearless.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Are you ready for el verano más futbolero de tu vida? Latination Football Club turns into Copa Nation, our live stream experience every day, de lunes a viernes, 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Pacific as well. Checking in after the games. In that slot between games, we got you, my friend. We're going to have celebrities, legends of the game, content creators, and a bunch of our friends that are going to keep you entertained and informed, letting you know what's happening all across the 3 countries that are going to be experiencing this crazy, crazy football tournament. Don't miss it. Copa Nation right here on Latin Nation every day. Check it out.
Like we're gonna really dig into this and talk about guys we like and why we like them once you've seen the course. But like coming off this week, guys who played well, just a couple of names that as you're kind of heading over, you're starting to really think about this guy's a good chance at hoisting a trophy this week.
Did Lucas Glover end up did he win this week at ISCO?
You know what? I did not see.
Oh, it's probably still going on, right? Actually, no, it's 4 o'clock here.
Yeah, I'll pull it right now as you're talking because
I was just thinking like long shots in my head. Oh, Taylor Pendrith looks like he maybe won in a playoff against Stephen Fisk. Is what it looks like. Lucas Glover shot +1 today. Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it looks like they're both. Yeah.
I was thinking that there was probably going to be a spot available. And Lucas has been playing well, but that was like more of a long shot type thing. But
man, Lucas shot 71 today. He finished tied for 5th. So
Matt Fitzpatrick doesn't have necessarily like the best Open Championship record, but it's starting to get a little bit better over the last couple of years. Fitzy's a guy that I think he's poised to have a great week. Played well this past week at the Scottish. I think his ball striking was a little bit off on the weekend at the U.S. Open, but he put himself in contention right from the get go at that one. Wyndham's playing some dang good golf. Chris Gotterup is playing incredible golf, and he seems to really like the Open Championship. Played well in his debut last year at Portrush, finishing 3rd. I would say that those are kind of the guys I got my eye on. I mean, it's these, and Tom Kim being another name too. Mm-hmm. But these are guys that Tommy Fleetwood, guys that hit a bunch of fairways. I think he's going to be key. And thinking that if it's going to be hot, I'm just curious, like how windy is it going to be? Like, is this going to be an Open Championship where they, are able to take it pretty deep? I would imagine
that's what I'm reading. That there's not a ton of bad weather in the forecast.
Yeah, so I think that brings in a lot of players that have the Open Championship, their motto is forged by nature, right? If nature doesn't show up, sometimes these golf courses, they'll need to be crispy. I think the crispiness of this place will be its defense, and it just depends on how fast they want to get the greens. A lot of times you don't see them get them too fast, so it'll be just, can you try to get your ball to stop on, when you get these fairways, man, with no friction on them, these things just run and run and run. And a lot of times those bunkers are acting like catcher's mitts.
Yeah, man. And I just feel like for some reason, looking at this board, that we might have a Rory bookend. Open the year at the Masters, win and close.
Yeah.
Like I know it was such a weird story of his third round where
Yeah, I like
73.
Roars too, man. You know what? You know why I like Roars this week is this. Without seeing the golf course yet and knowing like what his game is, like Rory's an aggressive player, right? But when you think about like how Tiger Woods played Open Championships, or even just golf courses that get firm, he would always get that 2-iron out and he would just put that ball in play, just hit the stinger. I'm wondering if the conditions being crispy and firm, if that'll almost make him play a little bit more conservative in putting the ball in the fairway and not hitting the driver quite as much. Now, the driver for him is such an advantage. It's so many different golf courses. And maybe at a golf course like this, there could be some bunkers that he can be able to eliminate that other guys wouldn't be able to. And that would be a time where he can hit that driver. But I could see, man, I don't want to put words in my mouth without really seeing the course live and seeing how guys are attacking it. But my memory goes back to just Tiger and how he would just hit that stinger and wouldn't even hit a driver the whole week at some of these Open Championship venues.
Well, and also depending on wind direction, right? Like where there are certain holes where into wind, if Rory's pulling driver and he's hitting it that much further than guys who are still hitting everything in their bag as well, and then flip around with the wind and he's able to kind of place a driving iron. Then if he gets in a rhythm with those wedges, where like if he's on with the wedges, he can win it running away. So
it all just depends on the bunker positioning out there. I got it. That's what I need to see is how aggressive you can play the golf course with driver. If it's one that you got to, similar to like Troon, that really requires you on some of the holes on the front side to have to eliminate a bunker and make a decision what club to hit. So look forward to it. I've had enough.
That's it.
Talking today.
That's all done for talking. To Smiley's point, the next time we are talking to you, he will have seen all those bunker positions, and we will give you a very thorough, in-depth breakdown of Royal Birkdale and the Open Championship, potentially with some flyovers so we can kind of illustrate what you're going to see on the golf course. So very much looking forward to that. Don't know if I'm going to have my air conditioning back in time for that, so I might be from the men's grill at Hope Valley next time. But no matter what, we will be previewing the Open. And Smiley, safe trip to San Francisco and then overseas.
Thanks,
and we'll talk to you back here very soon.
We'll see you next week on the Golf Channel. This has been The Smylie Show.
I listen to this podcast. It's really cool. And
all of our lovely fans and subscribers, but make sure you like and subscribe.
It's cool to see what you guys are doing. I know golf fans appreciate it, but we do too, so please keep it up.
For all the good people at YouTube, like and subscribe.
You guys have some good takes, so I'm happy to come on and shoot the